Can you look at me?
No.
You look very yogic and handsome.
Yeah, very regal.
Sri Dharma Mittra, swap. Everybody talks about inspiration. When we talk about inspiration,
Inspiration?
Let's talk about the people, ideas, or things that bring us back to our truth or our center. Who or what is that for you? Who inspires you, or what inspires you to come home to your truth?
What inspired was the benefits of yoga, the psychic powers, the mental powers, and also self-knowledge, the knowledge of the self, and also, of course, the stages of bliss, and also to get rid of pain and suffering, lots of ignorance, identification with the body. So yoga brought me this beautiful hope, knowledge, to make me inspired.
When you have gone on holy pilgrimage, sacred pilgrimage, or traveled, what have you brought back that is meaningful to you?
Well, the many, you mean when I go in pilgrimage?
Yes.
Well,
Or travel.
when I'm going to workshops to share the knowledge is the best thing for a yogi. Because as we gain more and more spiritual knowledge and realization, we have this strong desire to share it. Because now we see ourselves in others. So it's natural for a yogi to share the spiritual knowledge to others.
Is there a book, a piece of music, a scripture, or a mantra that you turn to over and over again because it is so powerful?
There is one very short, powerful. It is known all over the world. But when your guru give it to you, it has an impulse, a spiritual impulse. Om Namah Shivaya. Shiva represents the Supreme Self of God. I bow to the inner self. I myself got used to repeat it over 10,000 times a day. In other words, 70 rosary. Each rosary has what? 108. And then that remains in your mind and force the mind to rest on reality. And constant attention inside triggers divine attention to us. That is exceeding bliss.
Om Namah Shivaya.
And this exceeding bliss bring us enthusiasm towards everything in the world. It is not like happiness from sense object. It has a beginning and an end. This one is eternal. So it's always there.
What is the state you most strive for every day throughout the day?
I think it is always planning to find a way to spread more this knowledge to others. And the most important is gathering. Like here, we have lots of people. This is a great way to share, to promote peace in the world by gathering.
What do you think the turning point was to your awakened path? For some, it was a crisis or a healing or an admission. Do you remember when your eyes were opened for the first time? Who was there and what happened?
I think was the result of some realization of some knowledge First we get the knowledge, the self, right? And then you have to reflect upon it. When the mind becomes purified by keeping the ethical rules fully, automatically we have access to some sense of perception. We call it the astral senses of perception. And then you don't have to rely in belief anymore. You sense the presence of this infinite intelligence. We call it the self or God. So you start feeling His presence. That is the main thing that keeps you alive and full of enthusiasm.
At Bodhi Tree, we're experiencing a rebirth. Have you experienced a rebirth or a reincarnation in this life or from past life to now?
I'm not psychic. I'm not willing to know what is in the past life or in the future. But I realize, right, there is past life, but I don't want to know, because there are many bad things and good things. So the reason we don't know, it must be some reason we should not know. Otherwise it will make us more depressed. But I believe 100% there is reincarnation, karmas, and everything moves perfect. Without reincarnation, how can we make progress? How can we experience everything? The meaning of life is to experience everything. I don't want to know the past because there are lots of pain there. So leave it the way it is.
Jane Ann, she does readings, and she is one of our oracles at Bodhi Tree, and she works a lot with the past.
I do.
Well, most people want to know when I was a queen, when I was a king. What about when you were a criminal too? And maybe in previous life you lost your son because of your negligence. You allow your son to play in the forest and was eaten by a tiger. Or maybe you allow them to play near the cliff. He dies. Maybe many lives ago you made some false accusation in some witch that maybe they wasn't how to say, they were burned. And many people. So I don't want to know all this stuff. If I tell you here what I was before, you won't believe.
Do you know?
Maybe I was killing children, burning children just for fun. Well, trace everyone in the past. When you were Genghis Khan, remember there. When you were cavemen.
So do we have to burn that karma or just realize our
No,
true
it comes naturally. Every time you're born, you have some amount of karma to pay. And then as we experience more pain and delusions and karma, we improve more our compassion, and then we have better birth, less karma. But eventually, when you reach self-realization, I think all the past karmas are burned. This is what I heard. But for this life, you have to go up to the end of it. In yoga, we call it the prarabdha karma. But after you realize the laws of karma, and then you understand that no matter how bad karmas you are passing, is your own fault, is your own creation, then it doesn't hurt much. But for those who don't know, it hurts.
What about the great Siddha masters? What do you think about the yoga as a path to acquiring Siddhi powers? Or is this not good?
Repeat your question for me.
This is my personal question. Do you think, so you know there's some great yoga masters with
Yeah.
siddha
Yeah,
powers?
yeah.
Is this good?
You mean with psychic cities powers?
Yes. Or for example, the classical Indian raga musicians, they can move the clouds and make the rain come.
Yeah. I myself don't believe in that. Might be some tricks.
So one more question.
You see all these tricks that the yogis do it. One disappear with the key, diamond come from their mouth. They caught them with video cameras. Since I came to existence, I never saw one psychic thing in my life.
Well, maybe you will.
I can sit here for one day, despite of all this knowledge I have. I can sit all day here trying to make this water just move a little. It will never move.
Okay, one more question, Sri
Of
Dharma.
course, I believe in the psychic powers, but I don't have access to it.
Have you ever been in a trance
Trance?
from music?
No, in my type of meditation, I avoid all trances.
You avoid.
I have to be 100% alert. Many years ago, before yoga, I got used to go into losing consciousness, and then I end up bleeding, biting my tongue, right? Look like epilepsy. Because you have to keep your body in guard. You cannot just leave it for astral journey. Or the entity try to enter. It's not safe. I learned from my guru, from all, the best type of meditation is to be 100% awakened. Try to see, finding out how things are, the notions of time, observing thoughts entering your mind, observing even the state of samadhi. So, whatever you can experience, whatever you are able to be aware of, conscious of, is something else. Even samadhi, many people think samadhi is the end, is a product of mental activity, because you can see samadhi. When you go to sleep, it disappears. If you damage your brain, the astral senses of perception, you cannot experience it. You remember Ramdas? He had a stroke, and then he came out, he says, where is that spiritual man, the samadhi? Because he damaged it. But of course, he never lose what he was. But the body, all this is meditation, watching the activities of the gunas, busy with the gunas.
So in your meditation, or like this morning you taught Yoga Nidra,
Yeah.
what is the purpose of Yoga Nidra if not astral travel?
Is to that's why yoga nidra, you have to be 100% alert to see gradually the body relaxing, and then after a long time motionless, you start losing body sensation, and then gradually the entire body sensation is gone, and then you'll be able to sense what is left. And then you lose sensation of the face. The sensation, you lose the notions of looking. It's very, very scary for people who do not accept non-duality, because the self has no forms, no fame, no names. So when you lose total body sensation, what is left? This notion of I amness, look like you are everywhere, you became everything. For a Buddhist, you become Buddha. If you, whatever.
So, you know, Tibetan Yoga Nidra, Tibetan sleep yogic sleeping?
Yeah.
Is this how they go into the death state, conscious, and can
Yeah,
reincarnate?
it's a conscious way to die or to go in deep sleep without dying and going in deep sleep. But you gain the benefits because when you remain conscious, you'll be able to see what is happening. And then you realize by experience that you are not the body. Only when you lose body sensation. Like Patanjali says in the Yoga Sutras, when your mind is set into silence, everything stops. What's left? You can't explain. That's the essence of yoga. You have to tune your mind with your teacher, and then you'll be able to grasp the understanding. Of course, we are back here again. We are always back to the ego. Because if you break the ego, you disappear. That's not fun. I don't want to disappear. And from God's state point of view, it makes no difference.
What is the big question that resonates throughout your life?
The big questions. I think I found out. Once someone asked me, I don't know if it was Yoga Journal or someone else, asked me, what is the meaning of life? And then quickly came in my mind, but I said, no, it's not that. It's amazing. We have to experience everything. Everything that you see, manifestation of God. Let's say everything that we see here is material, right? God manifestation in a physical plane for those who have physical senses. This is what you can see from God. Now God manifesting other forms, subtler, 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 and keep going like this forever. The gods, let's say 1,000,000 years from now, you'll be God. Maybe another 1,000,000 years, you'll be one of the Brahmas, God creators. And this Brahma, 1,000,000,000 years from now, is not available for us now, but I believe there are other subtle, extremely subtle manifestation of God. And I believe in the blue planets. We have evidence now in the so just in a physical plane, we have amazing thing ahead of us.
The blue planets like Loka?
Yeah, not the locus. The locus in a physical plane. The other locus are heaven in the astral plane. It's like a vacation place. You enjoy it according to your deeds, and then you become unconscious. You find yourselves here again to get self-realization. But the meaning of life is to experience every manifestation of God in all levels. There are beings who went before us, millions of big bangs before us. These beings are unimaginable, gods in different forms to satisfy those who are at that level.
Like Kali?
Oh, Kali is out of date. It keeps going and going and going and going and never ends. All these are manifestations of God in a subtle forms. And also you become everything eventually. Since you came to existence, let's say, from one cell, you assume your ego. 2 cells. After a few more millions of years, you become a caveman. Now, after another couple of million years, you're here doing yoga. When you reach enlightenment, this time there is suffering. But when you realize that you are a portion of God, you're eternal, with all these amazing things ahead of you, there is no more pain and suffering. So you still have to enjoy amazing things. I have all this knowledge, but I am dying to come back here next life. I want to see how this iPhone is. I'm going to teach in space station. Also, I don't have to
With
worry.
the Tesla guy?
Huh?
You know Tesla? The
Yeah.
guy who's making a space station?
Right.
You can go with him.
So you're going to see from here, 50 years from now, Bikram Yoga Journey Space Station. You don't have to come here to this place over here.
So then are you,
Of course, there is mother spaceship here that goes up.
so then are you, if we have the desire to return to this world, are we not liberated?
You're liberated as soon as you find yourselves. From there, I believe all souls desire to share the knowledge. So I'm planning to come here next life. It will be more comfortable. I have to teach a space station. Also, I join everybody here again in a different level. And the planet will be more comfortable. The body probably, the glands will be more evolved. My samadhi will be a little higher. We don't have to worry about yama, not even niyama, because the computer is going to be amazing. Gugananda is going to be the guru of everybody.
Who is your guru?
Swami Kalaishananda,
When did you meet him?
64.
And what happened?
Hmm?
What happened when you met him?
Well, at that time, I believed that I was meeting God. And I appreciate him because of him that I am here in this position. At least I believe I remove most of my doubts. Right? Of course, I still have my prarabdha karma going to the end. You still pass through lots of problems here. But it doesn't affect me because I know that is my own creation from the past. So thank you for passing through. But I want to come back here next life, and then I wish to born maybe in another planet that is ahead of us, maybe 2,000 or 3,000 years. I want to see what's happening throughout this creation. If I go to a candy store, I don't want to taste one candy.
So
I want to
how,
taste everyone. That is the meaning of life.
so what is the nature of eternity? In Shaivism, there's spanda, the spark of vibratory consciousness that takes us between Ananda and emptiness, between Shiva and Shakti. How would you describe this nature of eternity that is the divine play that will bring you back to taste this candy?
Okay, first you realize that the self, a portion of God, became a portion of the personal self. So you realize that you are eternal, you're God. Now I believe that the ego, it stands for almost eternity. Because if you disappear, it's gone. What's the point? Of course, now you start to understand that the God manifestation is infinite, subtle. When you reach there, you think you're reaching the end, and then you see an infinite amount, subtle. Like I believe Buddha, there are other forms of Buddha. The same Buddha, but most people here can see only this much. If you could see the real Buddha, you understand, it's up to your consciousness. So all these are manifestation of God. Now listen to this, I discover myself. It is a trick, God's trick. Since God himself has no senses of perception, this entire creation is him himself through us enjoy everything. But everyone have this me, right? But I realize everything is God enjoying all this through us. You understand? It's infinite. Many people think enlightenment. Enlightenment is for what? For the mind. We are already enlightened. Enlightenment doesn't mean the end. I had a thought in my head when I started doing yoga. When I get enlightened, I don't want to born anymore. No, today I realize I want to born. I want to experience here. Next time, next, another planet, and forever. Sharing and sharing and sharing.
There's a story about a tree that is an oracle, and one man is a yogi under the tree, and he says, how many more lifetimes until I'm enlightened? She says, oh, 7 lifetimes. He said, oh no, I have to live through all this suffering. And then one man who's a gypsy bohemian says, oh, joking, oh me, how many lifetimes? She says to him, oh, you 10,000 lifetimes. He says, oh good, I get to enjoy this life 10,000 more times. She said, no, I'm joking, you are already enlightened.
Yeah, that's why it's good to renounce the fruits of the action. Do your practice because it has to be done. Your enlightenment can be tomorrow or can be 3 lives from now. If you worry, it creates more problems. Like the guru who said, this guy asked, the same student asked the guru, how many lives I have to take in order to get enlightenment? And the guru said to him, you see that tree over there? As many as the leaves of that tree. And then he said, that's okay. And then at that moment, he reached enlightenment because he didn't worry about the fruits. And the guru just touched him. And the other, he said 3 times, he said, God damn, 3 more. And then the other, 1,000,000 times, he said, no, that's fine.
If one is able to train the mind to be still, then how can you taste the subtler energies or subtle planes of consciousness? Like Abhinavagupta has given us these beautiful yantras and sacred symbols, or great poets have brought back beautiful poetry describing these higher states.
Well, that it depends how many senses of perception you have available for you. Pituitary gland here is the celestial camera. It's infinite, the power. It's up to the person, the ego inside the person, the accessibility to those senses of perception. And then you'll be able, through understanding, right, using the senses of perception, you'll be able to realize subtle things, but you cannot explain in a conscious way, because the conscious are limited. But the higher self, you see, the higher self decides where you're going to born to next life. Now, I'm not aware of it, because my senses here is made of flesh and bone. It's not, you understand?
So if
it comes automatically, you know.
If a sage, an enlightened Buddha, like Ramana Maharishi, is living in the crown chakra, how can he live in the world at the same time? Like Ramana, Bhagavan died. He did not care about his body because he was here.
Yeah.
So how can we have this all together?
Well, every saint and beings have their own missions, their own spiritual, I don't know, they listen to some inner voice. This kind of things are infinite, is immense. I don't know myself. You understand?
Did you ever meet Ananda Mahima?
No, I don't worry too much about this thing. The only thing I worry, I found out that I am, the real self is this, and the rest I don't care. Whatever the self decide, if the self decide, Dharma, you're going to born as a cow, thank you. I don't know.
One more question. What is your best advice for me in my yoga journey, my yogic path?
Your best advice is you have a spiritual teacher.
Yes, but he's dead. And
Be
Dalai Lama.
obedient to him and tune your mind with his mind. There was a lady in Hong Kong, I teach there, one of the Buddhists came to my class, this lady, and said to me, oh, I see Lord Buddha there every day in my meditation. And then I said to her, why don't you now enter in Lord Buddha and pretend that you're him, enter in him, surrender. Did you see the Matrix? She said, yes. You remember that man who defeat the other? The only way to defeat him is to jump inside him. And then she said, yes, I'm going to try to enter Buddha, take me. Because when you see Buddha there, you're here, you're always unhappy. And the highest type of sacrifice is to surrender yourself. Take me. So pretend that you are your guru. It's channeling, very serious.
Samyama.
You have to remove all your ego to decide, but a little bit stay there watching. But the rest, pretend that you're him. And then eventually you share all his knowledge. That is the highest spiritual thing. Spiritual knowledge can only be imparted like that, psychically. Only by your guru imparting to you psychically. So be obedient to the guru and pretend that you are him all the time. I remember once I was about to lick a plate. The food was delicious, I was about to do this. And then I said, would my guru lick a plate? No. And then I didn't. So before every action you do, you think like this. Would my guru do this? In case you go to the bathroom trying to play with yourself, you say to yourself, would my guru do that? No. You change your mind completely, you don't do it. Would my guru spit on the floor like that? No. You see, you start gaining all his qualities. And be vegan. If your diet is not right, your mind will never settle.